Hi, I hope you're having a great day. Welcome back to NikkoVenture. As the title of this video suggests, today I'm gonna share with you some of the books I used when I was still a foreign student in a caregiving college here in Japan. Needless to say, there is a lot of it, and I won't be able to discuss each of these books in detail. Before we go straight into it, however, there are some things that I think one should really know before I introduce these books, or in Japanese, kyokasho. First, these books were made without foreign students in mind. As such, these books are 99.9% written in the Japanese language. There are little to no English translations, and the remaining 0.1% of the contents of these books are just English terms that are somewhat difficult to be translated into the Japanese language. Second, there are no Japanese vocabularies or lists of Japanese words that you can normally see or you can normally find in a Japanese language learning textbook. You know those lists of Japanese words with English translations beside them to make them a bit easier to comprehend? There are no such lists on these books. These books use straight-up senmon yogo or Japanese technical terminologies. There are no lists of Japanese caregiving terms and their corresponding English translations. No. If you don't understand a single kaigo word, then you should take note of that word and then do your research, your own research after to understand that particular kaigo word. If you don't do this, you will definitely be left behind by the class.
Bye!
Lastly, there are no kaiwa guides on these books. As I mentioned earlier, these learning materials were made with little to no thought for a foreign student. These kyokasho assumes that you have a great Japanese comprehension and just gives you raw Japanese caregiving content after content after content. These don't give you tips on how to properly and appropriately construct a sentence to initiate communication with an elderly. No. That's because these bastards assumes that you already know how to do that and just gives you the principle behind every conversation you might have with a Japanese elderly. For that reason, most, if not all, Japanese caregiving colleges here in Japan require their foreign students to have a JLPT level of N3 and above, or have studied Japanese here in Japan for at least a minimum of 1 year. The colleges, or at least the books of these colleges, will not adjust for you. So yeah, so much for that. Now on to the books themselves. Kaigo books. I will be introducing my books, or some of them at least, from here on out, and there are 12 of them in total. First, we have the Kaigo no Kihon, or roughly Fundamentals of Care or Caregiving. This particular book is divided into 2 parts, and it allows the reader to understand the basic principles of care and the mechanisms for supporting the continuity of a community-based life. This book also allows you to cultivate the ability and attitude of a professional care worker. Next, we have the Kaigo Kate, this one, or in English, Caregiving Process. With this book, one can learn the theories and methods to integrate the knowledge and skills you learned in other subjects or other books and develop the care process appropriately. This care process might be familiar to some, especially those who have a nursing or medical background. That's because it has Joho Shushu or assessment, Keikaku no Ritsuan or planning, Jisshi or implementation, and Hyoka or evaluation. For my fellow nurses out there, the Japanese care process is virtually similar with the nursing care process we learned in the nursing college. Moreover, there are sample cases inside this book to practice your critical thinking skills as a professional care worker here in Japan. Then we have the Kaigo Sogo Enshu, or roughly in English, Caregiving Comprehensive Exercises. I'm not really sure though. This book basically gives you an image or an idea of what to expect upon working as a care worker in various caregiving facilities. This is basically a guidebook, an extremely useful one at that. This allows any aspiring care workers to have a smooth transition or entrance into any caregiving facilities here in Japan. In my humble opinion, that is. Rikai books. The fourth and fifth one are the Shakai and Ningen no Rikai. These are two separate books with somewhat similar contents. Shakai no Rikai can provide you with the legal system behind the care service of Japan, while Ningen no Rikai focuses on human dignity and independence and the practice of maintaining and supporting it. The sixth is the Hatatsu to Roka no Rikai, or in English, Growth and Aging, or Understanding Growth or Aging. In this book, you will once again meet Piaget, Erikson, Freud, and many more. Needless to say, I hate this book. As well as the pathophysiology of some diseases common among the elderly. Needless to say, I like this book. Shogai no Rikai, as the words suggests, explains the concept of disability, the basic principle of care for persons with disabilities and the support of such persons. While Nintisho no Rikai provides you with the basic knowledge about the psychological, physical, and social aspects of people with dementia, or in Japanese, Nintisho. This book allows you to understand the principles behind dementia care. In my humble opinion, this one here is one of the most important textbooks I have because this allowed me to understand the mind of a person with dementia, and it is a really trippy one. Miscellaneous books. Kokoro to Karada no Shikumi is just the anatomy and physiology of the mind and body. It's an anatomy and physiology book written in Japanese. I like this one. I really do. It's a bit challenging, but it is really entertaining. The Iriotekikeya, or medical care book, allows you to learn the medical care for certified care workers, basic knowledge of sputum aspiration and tube feeding. Basically, you can read the contents of this book alone. You can. Anyone can. But unless you're a certified care worker here in Japan, you're not allowed to perform any medical procedures written in this book. Communication Gijutsu will help you understand the principles and basic skills of communication in caregiving. Communication tailored for each unique characteristic of an old demented person and their respective families. Last but not the least is the Seikatsu Shien Gijutsu. This book answers the question, what is life? Needless to say, this is a very complex book that needs a lot of time and effort for us, to absorb its content. There are other books I have, that acts as reviewer books for the National Caregiver Certification Exam. These books are often sold in pairs and are an abridged version of all the books we discuss in this video. However, the contents of these books vary per year. Availability. Obviously, these books are available here online or at a bookstore here in Japan. However, I'm not really sure if one can purchase these books abroad. Regardless, there's no harm in trying. However, I do suggest that if you decide to purchase one online, use the Japanese names of these books, not the English translations or the Romaji script. Furthermore, expect them to be expensive. One of these books here in Amazon Japan is around 2,000 yen. That's 1,000 pesos or around 1,000 Philippine pesos. So that's it. These are some of the books that I used when I was still a foreign student at a Japanese caregiving college here in Japan. Yes, there are books that I did not include in this video. However, the absence of those doesn't really have any impact or significant impact in your goal to study caregiving and pass the National Caregiver Certification Exam. Frankly though, you don't really need a lot of books. You only need the best ones. And the best ones are the ones that really suits your style. Remember, more books doesn't mean more chances of passing the exam or becoming a really good caregiver for that matter. Sometimes it's just a waste of time and money. So, choose your books wisely. Thank you for watching, and I really do hope I gave you some ideas about what kind of books you really want to use in your study. Don't forget to leave a comment, a like, and of course, share this video with an interested friend. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. It would really mean a lot. Thank you again for watching. See you in the next one. Babush! Availability.